I'm reading today from Path to Happiness, and we're studying the keyword responsibility, which relates to the primary word sorry in the 7-word system and the state of being. Responsibility. This word is so often said with a heavy voice or launched at another person like an accusing missile. It's your responsibility. Yet its origins clearly indicate the ability to respond. If a doctor is present at a medical emergency, then they have the responsibility to deal with it simply because they can. Undoubtedly, it is suggestive of emotional maturity and adult attitudes. A certain type of person welcomes responsibility, the responsible ones. It is these who are entrusted with important matters, who are relied upon to make decisions and complete tasks. They generally find themselves in the center of things and respected, so they attract kudos and develop gravitas. The word is used falsely to allocate blame. Quite wrongly, phrases like "you're responsible," "it's your fault," and "you're to blame" are used synonymously, but these are quite different things. A mature adult has a responsibility to respond authentically to whatever occurs. Beyond this duty of authenticity, we can add further obligations by giving our word to others or by deciding life principles. If we affirm kindness as a life principle, then we may feel we have an obligation towards a hungry beggar. Whereas volunteer soldiers have responsibility to disarm enemies because they said they would. One saves a life, one takes a life, and both are acting out of perceived sense of duty. All of us at some point carry the duty of care as parents, pet owners, bosses and lovers. In this role, we extend the awareness of need beyond our own demands and take on another's requirements to some extent. This trains us in reflexive self-consciousness, and this ability to see ourselves reflexively from the other's point of view is the essence of spirituality. Learning how to do this is the task of a seeker, because it is a necessary and sufficient skill to open up the doors of perception that lead towards full realization. Indeed, the journey from childhood to maturity is substantively measured by the responsibilities we accept and properly discharge. The more we take on, the more we attract, and, provided we do what we say we will, the greater the responsibility, the greater the person. Properly discharging our responsibilities is a requirement of a peaceful being. If we fail to complete upon a promise, then we lose integrity and cannot stand firm in who we are. The people we have disappointed will feel the right to question us and put on pressure to do what they want us to do. Then pushed, we cannot easily be at peace. In Buddhism, the teaching is to carry the heaviest burden that you can comfortably manage. Beyond this, responsibility is constricting. It is typical and sad that so many find their lives pinched. The boss is stern, the spouse is demanding, the priest is judgmental, and even God seems annoyed with us all. This is not descriptive of excessive responsibility, but poor boundaries. On the other hand, the complete absence of responsibilities leaves us empty and drifting through a meaningless life, because they are what holds involvements in place, prerequisites for any meaningful interactions. We can categorize 3 types of people according to their readiness to take on responsibility. Some grasp for it, some shun it, and some are discerning. Those who grasp are mostly motivated by ambition or guilt, perhaps even feeling that they can burn off lots of karma, receiving accolades and collecting a nest egg as they do. The avoiders can be selfish and pleasure-seeking, and if so, not to be trusted. When discernment is introduced, we have the one who says yes or no by choice, and after considering the implications of giving their word. They don't want to raise unfulfillable expectations, and which would lead to stress or disappointment. Management training centers on how to deal with responsibilities. We are shown how to make job lists, practice tasks, communicate clearly, confront the unacceptable, accept the unconfrontable, and concentrate upon the matter in hand. Spiritual training does too. We are shown how to balance our own needs with others, our lower self with higher, and life in this world with life in the next. What they share is the developing of our ability to respond to what occurs by being highly aware of the external environments in which we express our internal motivations. At either activity, the more advanced practitioner arrives at the very same secret. And anyway, a truly responsible person masters both realms. The secret is that we are responsible for everything that occurs in our own lives. This is a counterintuitive proposal. The esoteric explanation for it lies in that we create our circumstances out of three centers of being. We could call them the unconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious aspects of the psyche, equivalent to body, mind, and spirit. This proposal requires our serious attention, and to validate its truth requires a stretch of our normal intelligence to include deep intuition. The unconscious, body-centered aspect of intelligence links us to the animal nature, our species lore, even planetary imperatives, and whatever still lingers at a cellular level of our inheritance from the Big Bang and everything else. How can we even glimpse what it is? Only God has no unconsciousness. The rest of us will always have an area of unknowing. Yet nonetheless, to a significant extent, this motivates us and informs our decisions. The spiritual, superconscious aspect of intelligence links us to the soul and its unique interpretation of how to be as godlike as possible. Whenever our circumstances differ from what we choose consciously, it is because of misalignment between the unconscious, conscious, and superconscious aspects of mind. To align more closely, we need to bring more intuition to bear, as the soul's voice and the body speak to us in their own mysterious languages. Someone who reaches an extraordinary depth of responsibility stands apart. They understand that self-responsibility is a requirement of freedom. Being offered the divine privilege of free will is the most awesome of all possible responsibilities. If we claim it, we are free to create whatever we can imagine from out of our hopes and fears, and there are few able to hold this power without buckling. So most buckle down under the yoke imposed by those who claim authority. We are free of imposition only after having dealt fully with an existential requirement to take total responsibility for all our parts, whether or not we understand what they are. Our ability to do so stems from the understanding that we create all of our scenarios ourselves. So whatever we direct our attention towards is necessarily our responsibility to deal with. Our one option is simply to observe it, with no need to thrust. This is the option that Lao Tzu recommends in Taoism. Now, of course, life is filled with challenges, and it does seem like we can't cope, not with all of them. We get overwhelmed and a bit nervous about taking on new responsibilities. Until such time as we develop this inner sense of capacity. And this is represented by the wazifa, the awazi. And the capacity we have is to hold it all of our occurrences, scenarios, people, events, duties. We can hold it all. And any sense we might have that we cannot hold it is dismissed when we practice this high attunement with the energy of Yawazi. Muiz is a very high state of self-confidence, certainty that we're adequate for the task, up to purpose. We know that we can do what we need to do. We know that. We're strong. We know that. Ya wazi. Ya muiz. 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 Amin.